Good morning or good afternoon, actually, and welcome. My name is Michele Jutrisa, and while I'm talking to you, I'm just chopping up the last of my bits that I need for today. So just bear with me 1 second. Sorry, I'm just a little bit puffed out. I just finished a class and quickly hoed down my lunch, and here I am. So please jump on, say hello, let me know where you're visiting from. It's always wonderful having people jumping on here and saying hi. We always have a wonderful chat. I know a few ladies will be maybe up in Brisbane at the moment because we do have our Stamping Up convention on. But unfortunately, I wasn't able to go, so I'm here with you, which is just as wonderful. So please say hi. Let me just pop on the messages so I can see who's jumping on, and I'm just finishing up the last little trim I need to do. I think I've got that right. We'll soon find out if I don't. And we're going to get started. So I hope it's a nice day where you are. It's fairly hot here today in the Southern Highlands of New South Wales, and that is where I am from. I run these lives every Friday at 1 o'clock, and hopefully soon we'll be getting back to doing one also on the Tuesdays in the evenings, but we'll see how we go with that one. Okay, so let's get started and let's start creating, because that's what we're here for, is we're here to create. Now, let me bring up my desk view, and let me just see where I'm not quite sure whether I'm not quite sitting on square, but that's okay. We can make that work. So here we are. So let me show you what we've got here. I've decided today we're going to do 2 cards. They're going to be fairly simple cards, and I'm using the same layout for both of them. So let me just grab my book here. This is the basic layout I'm using. So I'm doing a card which is still a 10th fold, but we're using it horizontally rather than vertically. And I'm going to have my card base, which is 21 by 14.9. Hello, Leslie. How are you? Very hot in Penrith. Oh, it's hot here today too. So I'm not too far from Penrith, just about an hour or so's drive. So, yeah, it's quite hot, quite muggy. Got the fan going just to keep us cool. Hello, Kay. Kay from the Hunter Valley. Thank you for joining. It's wonderful. Great to see a new face on here. Okay, so this is the card, my card design that I'm doing. So as I was saying, I've got a card base here, which is going to be 21 by 14.9, and I'm scoring this at 10.5. Now, I will put these measurements onto my blog in the next day or so. I've got a piece of designer series paper, which I've decided to lay there, and that piece there is going to be 6 by 10.5. Then I've got 2 layers here in the center of my card. So this is quite a simple card, and this is why we're going to do 2 of these. And what I've got here is my mat is 10.3 by 6.3, and then I've got a piece of cardstock which is 10 by 6. So that's our basic card. We also have a card insert which I've done at 10 by 14.4, and I've got a strip that I've cut down 1.5 centimeters by, cut by 10. So, and that's going to go on that as well. So these cards are same layout, but using different papers. And we're going to have a look at how sometimes that can change the way our cards do look. So I'm going to start off with this card here. Now, I started off with cutting it in white, and then I've decided, no, I'm going to use basic beige. So what I've got here, I've got my card base I have done in Lost Lagoon. So I had to think. I've chosen one of the plaids from the Timeless Plaids because I really love plaids. I think they're just gorgeous, and I'm not too far from Bundanoon, and later, probably about another month or so, we'll be having Brigadoon at Bundanoon. So tartans and plaids Scottish theme goes really well here in the Highlands. And there's my piece of designer series paper. I have got my mat, which I have done in boho blue, which I'll be so sad to see go. And then I've done my second piece of cardstock in basic beige and my insert in basic beige. So let me just grab my glue and let's put our insert piece together first. And there's our strip, which I said was 1.5 by 10. And we're going to just adhere this down there. This is probably going to be a fairly quick card. There's not much stamping in this. We're just really going to be stamping a sentiment because I'm going to be using the beautiful die cut pieces from the, I'm going to get this wrong on my, so I'm using the die cut pieces from the Storybook Moments designer series paper. This is this lot here, which come with all these beautiful die cuts. And I've already pulled out a couple that I'm interested in because my mother's birthday is coming up in the next month or two. And I thought, well, this could be a really good card for her. So there's our card inserts. I've got my card base here, and I'm going to fold that in half and grab my bone folder. Now you could tizzy this up a bit more by adding some ribbon if you wanted to add some ribbon. You could add some elements, which we may do onto this. So this piece here is 21 centimetres by 14.9, and I've scored it at 10.5 to create a 10th fold, but one that's going horizontal rather than vertical, because if we turn it the other way, we've got our book fold card. Okay, so there's our card, and I'm going to grab our mat here. I'm keeping this quite simple for today, and we're just going to adhere this on the inside. I really love this basic beige. Hello, Nicole, how are you? And we're going to slip that on the inside there. Just give that a good rub and make sure that glue on the inside is well spread out. Okay, so there's our card base. So then we have our piece of designer series paper, and as I said, I've cut this at 6 by 10.5. I've actually cut it just slightly under 10.5, and the reason for that is that when I glue this down, I don't want this peeking above this fold. I want it just really sitting just underneath the fold, but flush with the bottom. So it's not quite a mil, it's probably about 1/2 mil that I've cut that down by. So we're going to pop a bit of adhesive on the back of this. Of course, you don't have to use multi-purpose glue. You could also use your seal or your tear and tape. It's just that I like the multi-purpose glue because it just allows me a bit of time to pop this on and then slip it into the position I want and straighten things up if I need to. Now it's probably around about 1 centimetre from the side. You could use your grid, about 1 centimetre and almost 1.5 centimetres, I think. So let's just make sure that we've got this all nice and even. So there's that beautiful plaid on there. And now we're going to work on this piece. So I do want to do a bit of stamping on here because we do need to stamp our sentiments. So I've got the stamp set, and I've got somebody loves you, Easter greetings, welcome little one, happy spring, thank you so very much, and hello friend. Now I've just realised I really want a birthday sentiment on that. And the one I would normally use is not here because I have got it out on my dining room table. So let me see what else I've got here, whether I've got another birthday one. You know what? I have got a stamp lying here, and it's the Thankful Garden. And even though it hasn't got happy birthday on it, it's got with love. And I think actually that could be quite nice. So I'm going to use this particular sentiment. So let me see if I can find that with love. Yep, it's a nice big one too, so that's good. That will work out beautifully. See, sometimes you just have to have a look around what you've got hanging around your desk and work with what you have. That's my excuse for today anyway. Okay. Excuse me. So we're going to stamp our sentiment on here. Now I'm thinking these are the images I'm looking at using. And the main little one I want is this one here. My parents love their garden, so I thought this one would work out quite well. And I'm going to pop him there, even though he is looking slightly that way, because although I could have him over there, let's just have a quick look, because this is going to depend on where we're going to put our sentiment. So let's just do a dry fit. So we're going to have that there, and that's going to go onto there. Now, I was initially thinking that going over there because I've got the wheelbarrow, and I was thinking of popping that wheelbarrow behind, and I'd rather have the wheelbarrow going that way, but I've also pulled out the pots. Might even cut that pots down a little bit. So I think that's the only pots in here. Let me just have another quick look on here. Don't want carrots. Don't want any of those. Yep. I'm actually thinking I might still put him there, because the other way would be to pop that all over that side and have, though you could have the wheelbarrow going out that way, the wheelbarrow sitting up a bit, having those pots sort of coming out. Actually, I think I like that. And then it's got all that designer series paper there. Okay, so I'm going to stamp my sentiment over here. It's always good to do a bit of a dry fit and work out where you want things to go. Now, I do need a foam mat. Just want to make sure I get a nice stamp on this. And I'm just going to stamp that around about there. Just hold that down for a couple of seconds just to let that ink absorb into the paper. And that's going to look like that. Beautiful. Now we could even, if we wanted to, let me just grab, see what I've got here. Just even thinking I might put a little bit of colour just around the edges. So I'm just using a little dauber there, and I'm just inking a little bit just around those edges. It's just going to define the edge of my paper. I've just realised I'm sitting here in the dark. Let me just switch on the light over my desk and spread that out a little bit, just so then you've got a little bit more light. I just haven't switched on the room light. So that's just going to give that little bit of colour around those edges. Just going to have another quick look at the stamp set to see if there's anything else on there. No, I think that's all I want to do on that. So we're keeping this fairly simple, and we're going to glue these two together. So that's going to go down like that. I'm going to have this up on dimensionals, and I've got here also some of the twine, baker's twine, and I might bring in, it's either going to be that one, which is crumb cake, or the grey. I might actually bring in the grey because I think it's a good tone with that. So this is, I'm not sure whether it's just a basic grey. Don't think it tells me on there. No, and I don't have my catalogue handy to pull this out. But anyway, we're just going to wrap this around. I'm just going to leave a tail because I do want to tie a bow. And I'm just going to wrap this around a couple of times. I like to have my twine going around at least 3 times. Grab my scissors. And I'm going to give myself a little bit more length on this side. 1, 2, then back to 3. I just want that bow to be down below the with love. And sometimes too, if we turn our item upside down, we can tie a little bit of a better bow. So let's see how we go. The other thing would be too, to put a glue dot underneath your bow. Let's see how have we gone here. Just don't want a big bow, I just want a fairly small bow. Want to even these out a little bit, spread them a bit. Just wants to twist a little bit on me. I just make that bow just that fraction bigger. And I think I will put a glue dot underneath just so then it's not twisting as much. Just putting my finger on top of that just to hold that bow nicely. And I'm going to grab my glue dots. Just move all this up. Your game wanted a game of ping pong. Hello, Linny. How you going? Okay. You know, this is a collection I really thought I wasn't going, I mean, I liked it, but I wasn't going to use it because it just, for me, it's so childlike. But the more I'm playing with it, the more I'm really, really loving it. I haven't done, I've got the kit to do the scrapbook page, but I haven't used it as yet. So I'm looking forward to finding some photos. But I think it's just getting your head around the fact that this doesn't have to be just all for children. It could be adult-based as well. So this is why I'm making this one as a card for my mother. Okay, so I'm going to pop some dimensionals. Just hoping I've got some here. Place some dimensionals on the back of this. And that will also help to keep that baker's twine in position. And we're going to pop this onto our card. Now this is just such a simple, but I think could be very effective because, I mean, depending on what you're using, you could have, you know, any sort of colour cardstock, any piece of DSP on the back there, and then you're just doing a little bit of prettiness on your front piece and would make such a lovely and quick card. So let's pop those there. Now, I'm thinking of having the wheelbarrow probably there, and our little fella here, he's going to be up on some dimensionals as well. So I want to just put one top and bottom because we want the baker's twine to go in between. So I think I might bring that right up. Now, that wheelbarrow is going to go there. Then these little pots and things, I'm going to cut away that greenery, I think. Let's have a look. I just want that. Don't know whether I necessarily want those pots upright. I want it to come a little bit below. I was thinking of having those pots more even lying down, but then that's going to need to go over. No, I think I will keep that like that, and we're going to glue that piece down. So I've changed my mind yet again. Put some glue on here. You don't need to keep it in the confines of the rectangle. You could take it up a bit above. I'm going to have that wheelbarrow looking like he's sitting up on something a little bit higher. Then I'm going to put this one here. Now, I think I'm going to have him going underneath, also underneath the twine. So we'll just slip that underneath there. Make sure that push that glue dot down a little bit more. Just use my fingernail and just pop it down there a bit more. And then this little critter can sit right there over the top. So there's card number 1. So quite a simple little card. So very, very easy to do. And, of course, if you wanted to, you could add another little element on the inside there as well. Let me just have a quick look, see if I've got anything. You probably wouldn't want, I don't know whether I have anything here that's really, I've already pulled out. You could put the little watering can. Actually, that could look quite cute in there. Just have that little watering can in there. I think we'll do that. My mother's quite an avid gardener, and that will bring out the blue that we've used in the front as well under our mat. So there you go. There's our card number 1. Now, if you wanted to, you could add a little bit of bling onto that. I think for the moment, that's where I'm going to leave it. And let's create our second card. So let me pop all this cardstock and everything to one side. And let me show you what I have got for our second card. So I've popped it all here somewhere. It's hiding now underneath. Oh, there it is. Underneath all my tools. I've thrown it all on top. Okay. So let me get rid of the rubbish. So what I've got here is I'm using some designer series paper. Now this is from one of the new exclusives, online exclusives. And this is the Woven Textures Designer Series paper, which are all these beautiful textures here. So we've got this one here, which also is on the back of that one, is that circular one. There's a linen. I think I showed all these last week. A linen one. And the back of that one. So there's 4 sheets, 4 designs. And there's a design on each side, and then there's 3 of each sheet. Have I got that right? Or was there? Yep. I'm about to confuse myself again. I did that last week. So you've got 1 and that one, 2 and that one, 3 with that one, and the one I'm using today, which is this, and that's the side we're using. So there's 4. So there's 4 sheets, and there's 3 of each sheet. Last week I was getting myself terribly confused with that. So I've paired that up with grey granite, and the stamp set that goes with that is this one here, Textured Notes. So this is what we're going to use today, just to add a little bit of interest. So again, I've got my card base, which is 14.9 by 21, scored at 10.5. Then I've got my piece of Designer Series paper, which is my 6 by 10.5. But this time I've cut a piece of basic black, and that's going to go underneath, and that is also 10.5 but by 6.3. I've got my strip to go onto my piece for my card insert, and then I've got a piece of basic white, which was also 6 by 10, I think. My book is somewhere else, so I'll double check that. So that is, yes, 6 by 10. And then another piece of basic black, which is 6.3 by 10.3. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with our insert again. And let's get this prepared. So now the only thing with this one is I don't have a die cut element like we did with the other one. So what we can do is a bit of stamping. So I'm not going to stamp this. I'm not going to adhere this yet into my card. I'm just going to pop that onto there. And I'm going to adhere these two pieces together. So I'm probably doing this a little bit differently than the other one, a slightly different order. So I'm just sort of adding a little bit more texture to this by adding a matte underneath it, because I just felt that that Designer Series paper was blending a little bit too much into the card base. Let's give that a good rub, make sure that glue's well and truly adhered. And plus two, because I was adding a bit of black underneath this, I thought it needed a bit of black on there just to bring everything all together. So let's do some stamping on here. So we'll need to do stamping on those two pieces. So I'm just going to pop those to one side and going to work out which ones are these. I might make this one a thank you card. Because I do my alterations, I often give cards to the people who pick up their alterations, just to say thank you for using me. So something a little bit different. And I'm going to grab a block and I'll show you how I mount these. So I've got my sticker sheet here for the back of the stamps. Here's my thank you one. I'm going to peel off the sticker and the backing all at once. And I'm going to stick that all completely onto my block, just like this. I sometimes find, not so much with the littler stamps, but with bigger stamps, sometimes you can get bubbling and that underneath between the back of your stamp and the sticker. So this is just a really good, easy way to do this. And plus, if you stick it straight down, you know what is your tacky side, which is going to adhere to your block, and what is the side that's going to adhere to your stamp. So we want this side here to adhere to our stamp. So then I'm going to take the backing off my stamp. And I'm going to now, instead of taking my stamp to my block, I'm taking my block to my stamp. So I'm going to line this all up and then lay it down on top. And I find that that's a really good way of getting a really nice, smooth connection between the two. Okay. So it might be just a little bit of bubbles in there, but they're only small, whereas sometimes I find, especially with the really bigger stamps, that sometimes if you don't get it sitting quite right, they can stretch a little bit, they can have bubbles underneath, the stamp's a little bit slightly bowed, whereas this way I know that I'm going to get a really good adhesion between the two. So I'm going to use that one, but I'm also going to use another stamp. I think I'm going to go for this little one here. So that's our sentiment. So we've got to do the same thing again. Just move that out of the road. Just taking the backing off that. And I'm going to grab another block. So again, just to go through it again, I'm peeling both the sticker and the backing off together. So it's all coming off as one piece. And then I'm sticking that straight down onto my block. You've got that split in the middle. So now I'm going to peel off the two sides. Grab my stamp and line up my stamp. So I'm just hovering over the top of my stamp with my block, making sure I've got everything lined up and then pressing down. So that's going to give me that really nice contact. Okay, so now I have pulled out here, I have got basic grey and I have got grey granite. But I've also just thinking, I've also got that Lost Lagoon, and that Lost Lagoon could look really nice in the leaf. So I think I'm going to change this up a little bit, and I'm going to do my leaf not in the grey granite. So I'm going to get away, or the basic grey. I'm going to get away from the tone on tone and add that little bit of green to this. So let's ink up our stamp here. Now, because this one is a red rubber, we don't need that foam matte. I'm going to put my sentiment there, the same as what I did on the last one, but this time I'm just going to stamp that right there. Still just holding it down for a few seconds just to let that ink absorb. And because it is a, oh golly, it's gone right out of my head, a textured stamp, that you've got that light and dark with the image there. And the name of that will come to me later on probably. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp this again on here. And I'm just going to just go to the edge of that design and just stamp it there. So again, there's a little bit of stamping on that. So that's all I'm going to do in the Lost Lagoon. And now I'm going to stamp my sentiment. And I'm going to do that in the grey granite. And we're just going to use that thank you and just pop that right on there like that. Now this time I'm not planning to add, probably could have put a little bit more ink on the bottom of that Y and the U, but that's fine. Okay then, so that's all our stamping, but I was going to say I'm not going to put basic any of the baker's twine on that. I just want to keep this one quite simple. Just popping a few of these things away, just so they're out of my road. Grab these twines, there we go. This is a really lovely stamp set. Can't wait actually to use some more of these. I've got some ideas in my head, so we'll see how we go. Now let's adhere these two together. So that's our mat for our front. And I'm not inking around the edges or anything on this one because I really just want this one to be really simple with a slightly elegant feel. Look at that, a really lovely texture. Okay, so let's put our card together. So we'll start by folding our card in half, lining up all our edges. Even though I have scored this, I still take time in just lining up those edges because not all the time does it score exactly where I want it to be. Give that a really good burnish down, make that a nice crisp fold. Grab our insert. Now, of course, this particular suite too also does come with that lovely ribbon that if you wanted to, you could add onto this. So I'm just going to add that in there. Give that a good rub just to make sure that glue is spread. Hello, Lechy. Having fun up there in Brizzy? You're off to lunch. Well, you enjoy your lunch. Thank you for popping in. So now this piece here is going to go on the side there, the same as what we did in our other card. Don't even know what time it is, 1:36. We are going quite well considering this is my second card. So again, it's about 1 centimetre from that edge, popping that onto there. Give that also a good rub just to make sure that we're getting that glue. Now I do have that ribbon here. And I'm not planning to put any ribbon on this, but I'm just sort of wondering, you know, we could. I think I might just put a little bit of that white ribbon on there. So what I'm going to do is I've got some Terra tape here. I am going to pop this up on dimensionals. So pop a little bit of Terra tape there. That a really good burnish. It doesn't want to come off, so if you give it a good rub, then take a pick tool underneath, that will lift that off. Hopefully leave your glue behind. Now I just want this to be a little bit wider, and then we're going to pop that ribbon, whoops, just across there, making sure that's adhered to that Terra tape really well. And then we're going to pop some dimensionals on the back here. So my next question is, where did I put those dimensionals? Here they are. Another one in the middle there. And we're going to pop that just about there like that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a faux knot, because I don't want to put a bow, I just want to put a little knot on this. And it's just going to sit just above that, or on top of the stem. Give that a pull in the opposite direction that you want that to go. And then I'm just going to angle this off a little bit. So it's just like a faux bow on there. That way too, if it's not really male or female, because I get a lot of men that come and getting alterations done. So sometimes it's nice to even give them a card that they can pass on to somebody else. So I'm just getting rid of all of my bits and pieces as I go. Then I'll bring in my other card. So there's that card and that one. So two very different cards, different products, different cards using the same layout, but just by Nicole. Have a great weekend, won't you? So just a very quick, two very quick cards. You can use any cardstock, stamps, and I think every time you create this, you'll be making quite a different card. Now, this is a very different style of card that I usually make. I usually do things with lots of layers, but I had to do a bit of layering and mattering on these anyway. So I hope you've enjoyed that. I will place all the measurements and everything for these cards onto my blog probably tomorrow, and photograph these so then you've got them. But I would love to see if you use this idea for any other cards. I pulled out a few different stamp sets, so thinking, okay, what can I do? And with this, and one of the ones I was looking at possibly doing was using the Happy Days. You could very easily stamp this on here. The other thing is too, with this particular layout, you could even turn that around and have this strip going down through here. You can have this going in that same direction as well. So you can turn it around and use it in different ways as well. So I was sort of thinking of this with the bright papers from the Friend set. I can't think what it's called, with all the really bright papers and everything. I've used this before with it and it looks really great. And you could just, the sentiment in here would just almost fill that whole piece there. So I think you could get quite some fun cards out of this. So there we are. There's a really quick and easy card. Hope you've liked that. Thank you, Leslie. Oh, that sounds fun. A cruise. I hope you're going somewhere exciting. You'll have to share with us next time in a fortnight where you went and what you saw. And stay safe out there on the water. So, yeah, I will let you go now. I'm actually quite pleased with myself. I'm under the hour, and considering I've made 2 cards. So I hope you've enjoyed that, and we'll catch up with you in a week's time. And Leslie will catch up with you in a fortnight, and hope you enjoyed that. So bye for now. Take care. Have a wonderful weekend.